episode, I am getting into our monthly Q&A where you submit your questions to me and I answer them right here on the podcast. Today, we're getting into questions like why memberships fail and what you should really be focusing on so that yours doesn't, how you know it's time to hire your first team member, what to do if your sales events aren't getting you members or they're just flopping, how you can make sure that your members don't just come into your membership and use it for a month and then cancel, and more. This is a really good episode, so let's get into it. Welcome to the $1 Million Memberships Podcast, where we help entrepreneurs like yourself start, grow, and scale multiple 6- and 7-figure online memberships with simple, step-by-step strategies that actually work.
Your life is about to get so good.
Let's dive in. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of $1 Million Memberships Podcast. I love the end of the month because I love a good Q&A episode. We got some really good questions this month and I want to dive right in. But if you're new here, first of all, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. The last Monday of every single month, I answer your questions that you submit to me either through Instagram or our email at support@paigevandy.com. I get questions through the DMs randomly throughout the month, so I'll screenshot those and then save them into a little folder, and I try and answer those questions in full on the podcast. And I try and put a Q&A box on my Instagram stories every week as well. So definitely come follow me at the Membership Muse on Instagram if you are not already. And if you have questions that you want to submit, send them to me on Instagram or feel free to send them to our email at support@paigevandy.com. And of course, if you want even more support with your membership, have support from myself every week, support from others in the membership world who are also building online memberships, come join us inside $1 Million Memberships Club. That is my membership specifically solely for online membership founders. Those of you wanting to build super successful, I'm talking multiple 6, 7-figure and beyond online memberships. And it doesn't matter if you are just brand new, you just have the idea of your membership in your head, or if you are somebody who has 400 members, 500 members or more, and you are really looking to scale what you have. Put really solid systems in your membership so that you don't feel like you are just building this massive membership on quicksand that could fall under your feet at any moment. We have starting places no matter where you are. And if you are building a membership, trust me, you want to do things the right way so you are not spinning your wheels and wasting months, because there's a lot that goes into memberships, as you guys probably know listening to this podcast. Anyways, at the time that I'm recording this, we are open for enrollment and we are going to be closing on April 30th. So listening to this podcast is great. But if you want that hands-on support, you want all of the actual strategies that I talk about on this podcast, you want them in front of you, you want the templates, the resources, everything that you actually need to implement in order to do these things, definitely come and join us. Pause this episode, go to the show notes or the description if you are watching this on YouTube, go sign up for your membership and then come back. And also send me a message on Instagram once you join so that I can personally meet you and welcome you. Okay, let's get into the first question, which is, what's the number one reason memberships fail in the first year, and what should I be doing differently from the start to make sure mine does not fail? When it comes to memberships, the number one thing that you have to really make sure is your focus, is your priority, is your community. And within that community, you are building a true culture. Culture doesn't just happen. Culture is built, and culture is built strategically. Year one is tricky because you're trying to find out like what actually works inside of your membership, what people are responding to, not responding to, what content works, how to actually present and deliver the content. Like everything is kind of just a trial and error, a little bit of a test. Obviously, when you build your membership, you should go in with a really solid structure and a vision and do the groundwork that you need before you're releasing it to the public, of course, but you're never truly going to know what is working and what feels really good for your membership, what is getting people the most results, the best results, getting people to engage and show up and all of the things until you're actually doing it, until you're actually running it. So that first year is truly about like really, really paying attention to your numbers, paying attention to your engagement rates, paying attention to what people are liking, not liking, comments that you're hearing, reading your cancellation forms, everything. But also simultaneously, while you are doing that, you need to be focusing on building the culture and building the community, because that's ultimately what's going to get people to stay. Most founders who are doing this on their own, who are not inside $1 Million Memberships Club, go and they build their membership, they put the content in the library bank, they schedule the calls, they have the structure, they have their very first launch, they get people into the community, and then they just stop. And they think, okay, that was the hard part. And in reality, that is just the very, very beginning. The real work starts when you have the people inside. That's when the true work happens, because that's when you start to build the culture. The culture just doesn't build itself. And that's what so many people do and think, is they just put the content in there, they schedule the calls, and then they just think, okay, because people are in this community, the community is just going to kind of take care of themselves. It's going to happen. People are going to start responding, and then they don't. And then that's when the membership starts to go backwards. You might have momentum, and many of you listening who have launched your membership have probably felt this, that your first couple of launches were doing great, and then all of a sudden people started to lose interest, or people weren't asking about your membership as much, and people weren't coming in as much. And then you kind of start this like backward slide. You have to really work intentionally to build your culture while you are also making sure that your membership is set up for member results. And what this really comes down to is getting your members to actually connect, to log in, and use your community as part of their everyday routine. Your members need to feel like they belong in your community, like they actually want to show up. They want to talk to people, they belong there, that's part of their everyday. And they also need to know what they're always working on. Like they always need to know, what is the next step? You don't want them to come in, have momentum, maybe see a little bit of results, but then just like not know what their next step is, how they're progressing inside of this membership, because then they can't actually see themselves staying in the membership for the long term. Your members should always be motivated by what's coming next. So kind of wrapping this one up in a bow, the real reason memberships fail is, one, they're not set up for member success. This really comes down to your systems, your content, how you deliver things, of course, those type of things. Your onboarding is a huge, huge piece. Your onboarding is where people are really going to connect for the first time and come into your membership for the first time. And that's where you have to really train people of how to show up inside of your membership. But then it's also the connection piece. You have to make sure that your members are actually connecting to other members and that they are feeling that connection. They are feeling like that they belong inside of this membership. Honestly, this is a huge, huge topic. Creating a sticky community, an engaged community, retention. This is such a big reason that memberships leak and that memberships don't work, is just that retention piece. And it's such a huge topic. I could do a 3-hour podcast on retention and community building alone. But if you're inside $1 Million Memberships Club, if you come in and you go to our sticky community and retention challenge, you will get all of it. You'll get the entire blueprint of what you need to do from step one, what you need to do from the minute members are coming in the door, and how you can nurture and build your community and culture and your retention hygiene every single day from there on out, so that you don't end up with this leaky bucket inside of your membership. Number 2 is, how do you know when it's time to hire your first team member, and what should they handle first? So my answer is maybe a little controversial to what you might hear other people say, but hear me out. I will explain my controversial viewpoint. So for your membership specifically, the number one thing is that you should really have the structure of your membership figured out first before you think about bringing someone on to work with you inside of your membership. You don't have to have it fully fledged out yet. You don't have to have everything in place, because obviously that's also why you hire, so that you do have more time and more room to do these things. But you need to at least be very, very certain of what your vision is for your membership. How do you want your culture to be? Where do you see this thing going? What do you want it to look like? Like, you cannot really bring somebody on when you yourself are unclear of where this is going, because then they're going to be unclear of their role, and you're going to end up with a team member that you are just hand holding, and that they are not happy because they feel confused, overwhelmed, and don't understand their role. So to make this simple, as a founder of a membership, there are really 4 things that you need to hold as the membership founder. I call these the 4 C's. These are the things that you are not going to outsource. This is your role. First one is CEO. This is holding the vision, steering the ship, making those CEO level decisions. This is something that someone else is not going to do. The next one is cash. This is bringing in people into your membership. So holding sales events, doing sales related activities that are bringing people into your membership. This is creating content for your social media, holding sales events, those type of things. So that's something that you're not really outsourcing. That's you. The third C, The third one is content. So this is content inside of your membership. So say you do like workshops or trainings, or you create video trainings, things like that. Now you can have someone take your work and actually implement it into the membership, upload it, edit it, all of those things. But the actual content is likely going to be coming from you. That's another thing you're not outsourcing. The fourth thing is coaching. This doesn't necessarily have to mean coaching as like the standardized way of talking about coaching. This is literally just how do you show up inside of the membership. So whether that's leading calls, leading coaching calls, workshops, trainings, like those type of things. So that's something that you actually have to do, right? When it comes to outsourcing now, everything else that does not fall into those 4 C's, those 4 buckets, that is what you want to eventually be outsourcing. So my rule is that on your way to your first million, you don't need a huge team. You don't need all of these little roles because the little roles will change over time. You want to have one solid person who can help you bring this vision to life. And here's the other thing is you don't necessarily want to just be delegating out tasks to this person. You want to be delegating out KPIs, so actual targets. So for example, if you bring somebody on, you're not delegating. Besides, like there's some little things that you're going to have to delegate, which that's a whole other topic. And if you're in $1 Million Memberships Club, you can just go to our hiring packages and hiring templates, and you can see exactly what I mean there. But for the most part, you want to be delegating KPIs. For an example, you don't want to be saying, okay, do this task and then, okay, I'm going to give you this file. Can you please upload this? Okay. Can you do this, this, and this today to get our members to do X, Y, and Z? Like you don't want to constantly just be delegating these little tasks because then you're just wasting your time. Like that's something that by you having to delegate these little tasks all the time, every day, all that time that you're trying to buy back by hiring somebody, you're just wasting it telling somebody what to do. You need to delegate targets and KPIs. So an example of what this looks like is you have somebody on your team and their target is to make sure that your membership is hitting a 30% engagement rate every single month. And if your membership is at like a 10% engagement rate every single month, that number should be creeping up, moving up because that is their job. Now, how they do that, that's where the little tasks come in. That's going to be like, okay, well, if your KP is to get our membership to 30% engagement, what do you have to do? Okay, well, maybe they just know, okay, that means people have to get on calls more. So I'm going to schedule myself a day where I go and I DM everyone and invite them to the calls the day before the call. Or I send out emails to remind everyone to come on the call. Or I post in the community after a call and I talk about some wins that I heard on the call, or I shout someone out who had a really good share. So this way, you are giving someone the power to work at a high level inside of your membership. They are liking their job. They feel like they have this autonomy inside of your membership. They have an actual role inside of your membership. And now you are actually building something with team members, and you're not just being this like bottleneck babysitter. That is just like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this. And again, come inside $1 Million Memberships Club if you are really wanting to work more on building out team. But that's the first thing to know. And then the other thing is going back to my rule of having a small team until you hit that first million. This person doesn't necessarily have to be like a customer service agent or a email support person. This person can own a big role inside of your membership. And then as your company grows, you can start to create more specific roles for more people and actually have like somewhat of an organization chart. That being said, to give some sort of direction of like what somebody should do, this is like another controversial piece of this, but personally for me, I like to hire from within my community. And the reason for that is because the people who are already in the community, they already believe in the community. They're there because they have interest in what the membership is about. They understand the brand. They understand the community already. They're already bought in. And this also creates a little bit of like an internal perk for the other members when they see, okay, someone was just hired from the community. That means there's not only opportunities in this membership to gain this one skill, but like I could also grow within this industry myself. And so this is going to also create retention inside of your membership and also like excite your members. There's internal motivation for your members to really show up inside of the membership. And not everyone's going to want that, but definitely some people will. So if you're looking to give somebody an actual role, personally for me, it's going to be kind of like a hodgepodge of a lot of roles because like I said, one really good hire until you get to that first million, but a large part of their role, a large scope of their role should be community management style. So supporting your community, doing the admin tasks for your community that you don't necessarily have to do, onboarding members, like personal reach outs to people, owning those community KPIs like the engagement rates, churn rates, things like that. Because remember from the first question, one of the reasons that memberships fail is because the community, the culture doesn't get built or members are not seeing success inside of the membership. So this person, your community manager, if you will, they should really be owning that role. So you need to bring someone in who's really going to be for the community. Question 3 is I'm running sales events, but not getting consistent results. How do I know if my event is actually the problem or if it's something else? Okay, so there are usually 2 reasons why sales events don't work. The first one is that you're not running the sales event right. I know the answer you wanted to hear. But that's the first one, that you're probably there's something off with your sales event. You're not running it right. The transition from your sales event to actually selling your membership, maybe there's something really off there. So that's the first one. The second one is that you're running the sales event right, but you just don't have the numbers. You don't have the people at the sales event seeing the sales event. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to diagnose which problem you have. Is it A or is it B? If you're not running the sales event the right way, the obvious answer is that you have to fix the sales event. You have to understand if you're running your sales events the right way. Now, if you figure out that you are running the sales event right, everything is checking out, then it's probably going to be a visibility thing that you just don't have the people there. Inside Million Dollar Memberships Club, we have this sales calculator that is absolutely incredible. I think that everybody who runs a membership needs it and should be using this. But you basically plug in your goal. So say you want to make $10,000 this launch. Plug in your goal and then you tell the sales calculator what kind of sales event you're running. Is it going to be a challenge? Is it going to be a webinar? What is it? Then the sales calculator actually spits out how many people you need registered, what your conversion rates look like, and then we have the sales event outlines so that you can actually execute it the right way and get the number of people in that you need to. So then you're really solving both of these things. You know how many people that you need, so you're solving that visibility issue, but then you also have the templates and the blueprints of how to run each one of these sales events so you know that you're running those the right way as well. Again, if you are running a membership, you need to be inside Million Dollar Memberships Club. Go to the link in the show notes or the description. Snag your membership if we are open while you are listening to this. Definitely, if we are open, snag it so that you don't miss out because we do close the doors, and get in there and jump into these tools. We have our sales calculator and we have our membership health checker where you can check all of your KPIs and see the actual health of your membership, how it's actually doing so that you know exactly what problems you need to be fixing right away. So for sales events, it's actually so simple. It's a visibility. Do you have the people there? And it's actually just executing your sales events the right way, because when you have both of these combined, they do work. And this is something that you want to have in place all the time inside of your membership so you can actually get predictable sales and grow your membership predictably. Question number 4 is how do I get members to stop canceling after they come into the membership, use it, and then leave? Okay. So this is something that I feel a lot of people struggle with, especially if you don't have the strategy and the structure around your community and your retention. Like going back to that first question, it truly is so important because this is directly tied to it. How sticky your community is directly tied to it. There's some like band-aid things that you can do for this. Obviously, if you have a lot of content inside of your membership, you can have things in place where it's like a 3-month minimum or a 6-month minimum for the payment plan so that people aren't just taking your content and then jumping out. So there's things like that, but you can't just like band-aid fix these things, right? Because over time, that's not going to actually grow your membership. That's going to kind of like hurt your membership in the long run. So yes, like definitely you can have those things in place, but the actual fix to this comes from your member experience. It comes from, do your people feel connected as soon as they get into the membership? Are they overwhelmed, or do they have a very clear success path for your membership? Do they know exactly what they need to be working on right now? And then not only that, once they finish that, do they know what the next step is? That's really, really important. Like, do they actually know the benefit of them being in the community? Are they using the community the way that you want people to use the community? And if they're not, why? That's usually a structural issue. Okay, now Merlot is snoring like crazy if you're on YouTube. You can see her. She's like passed right out behind me. So if you are finding that your members are canceling, I would go right to the community. I would go right to the retention of your membership, and I would look at what is going on. And if you want a really, really easy way to do this, when you come inside Million Dollar Memberships Club, use our health checker. It is right on the homepage, and you literally just put in your numbers. You say how many members you have. It takes you through your churn rates. It takes you through your engagement rates, so you can actually see, like, are people showing up? Are people using the content? And it tells you where you have some warnings. It shows you exactly what you need to actually focus on, where people are getting stuck in your membership, where the problem is, where the red flags are. This is so important to understand if you're going to have a membership. But usually this is just coming from they don't feel connected, they don't see their clear path, or they're not using the membership, which actually streams down to your systems. Why aren't they using the membership? If you have people coming in but leaving just as fast, you have a community and retention leak, and that is what needs to be fixed first. Next question is, I grew my membership to 800 members and now I'm stalled. How do I continue to grow? So this is so common, especially for people who have a bigger membership that just like grew like wildfire, that people were really interested in. And then you get to a place where just doing the same thing that you've been doing to grow the membership is no longer working to actually scale the membership. This is why the fourth pillar that we really use inside Million Dollar Memberships Club is building a world, is actually expanding your membership, because this is exactly what you need to do once you come across this issue. It's a good issue to have, but it's still an issue. If you have a membership that has a ton of members, it's like successful technically on the outside, but you're really stalling growing it from there. Your next step is you need to learn how to build a world within your membership. You need to now make this membership bigger than you. You need to almost shift into this is my membership with members into this is their membership. This is their community. And that is how you build a world. That is the true difference. And this is really hard for a lot of people to do, because you actually do have to get into this mindset of this is not my membership. This is their membership. And you have to kind of release that ownership of your membership to your members. Now, there's so many ways to do this, and it really depends on what your vision of your membership is. Do you want to still be the face of your membership, or do you want it to really be like, truly, you're not really a part of this thing anymore? Like, yes, you are the technical brand of why this was created, but like, do you want this to really be a community membership? You have to really define what your vision is for the membership first in order to kind of know like which path to take this down. And again, if you come into Million Dollar Memberships Club, we have our Building a World challenge where we direct you completely on what is going to be your path based on what your vision is. But if I was to give this like a very general answer, because I kind of have to, there really does depend on what you want for your membership. But generally speaking, when you get to a point of having, say, over 500 members inside of your membership, that's a big membership, right? There's a lot of people inside of that membership. And in order for that membership to truly thrive, for people to want to show up in it all the time, for it to actually take off and be this huge membership that scales, you need to also learn how to create a membership that feels like a small membership that is actually a big membership. And like the best way to describe this is like, imagine going into a stadium full of thousands and thousands of people, right? That's a place that is technically a huge community, but you feel so small in it. You don't feel connected to people because everyone's kind of just like living their own lives. They're walking by you. They're all like in their own world. They're all doing their own thing. Like you can go to a stadium full of thousands of people and feel so lonely because you're not actually connected to anybody. On the opposite hand though, if you go into a room and there's 50 people there, it's not a huge community, but it feels like cozier, right? You have a better chance of making connection. Remember, when it comes to memberships, everything is about connections. And so of course, if you scale your membership and it's huge, you're going to lose that small community feel. And that's what makes people want to be in communities. So this might be like mind-blowing, like to a lot of you, but that's the key. Okay, so the way you take this is where it depends what you want your vision to be. There's so many ways to take this, but that is like the core principle is you have to remember community is when people communicate with other people. So technically what you have to start thinking of doing is, okay, I'm only one person. There's this membership with all of these people. how do I make people actually feel connected, feel like they are part of community, make this feel like it is their place that they want to be and they're not just like 1 in 10,000 people, right? So you need to start bringing your members up. You need to start giving members inside of your community roles, responsibilities, opportunities to grow within your membership. That is how you create a world. And there's a lot of ways to do that. And that depends on what you want to do. But that's like the overarching idea of it is you have to bring people up into your community. And you need to start creating subgroups in your community, subcultures in your community, ways for people to be in a huge community, but connect in smaller communities within your community. And you cannot do this alone because you are one single person. And that's why you have to start bringing people up with you inside of your community. Again, is everyone going to want to do that? No, but that's like kind of the point. You don't want everyone to do it because you can't have a whole community of all these people doing that. But there are definitely people inside of your community who would love to contribute more, who would love to have that connection in the industry that you're in, who would love to give back and like be a part of something bigger. And that's what you have to really start to build. Yeah, this is something that we have a challenge inside $1 Million Memberships Club. It's called Building a World. We take you through the diagnostics. We take you through your vision, and then we point you in different paths of what you need to start doing right away. But something that we're very clear on is this is not like a 30-day, you just do this, this, and this, and all of a sudden you have a world. This is something that can take years to build. But if you are in this place, you need to start getting the gears in place. Like you need to start getting the systems in place now. You need to get the vision in place now of what you actually want this to look like, how that can look in your community, what roles could look like in your community. Are they completely free volunteer roles or do you have some paid roles? What are the requirements for paid roles if you do? You need to start making this community your members' community and not just yours. And that is how you truly scale a membership to those huge numbers that you're wanting to aim for. Again, this is something that this on its own could be another 3-hour podcast, but that is the overview. And if this is you, if you are at this place or you want to learn, you can start building a world with 500 members. You can also start the process at 50 members. Regardless, any membership that wants to scale to multiple 6, 7 figures, you need to do this. You need to have building a world in place and as part of your business plan. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I could go on forever. You know that. And I need to like give myself a cutoff. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. Again, $1 Million Memberships Club is open until April 30th. If you are building your membership right now and you want the support, you don't want to do it all alone, you want to come into these challenges with us, have our community where you can talk to other founders, building memberships, talk to myself, hop on calls every month, our strategy calls, our workshop calls, our support calls. We are doing co-working calls in there now. It is just like the absolute best place to be if you are running a membership. It is the most supportive place you can be to run a membership, and every single thing you need to start, grow, and scale your membership is inside $1 Million Memberships Club. So I'd love to see you in there. And again, once you sign up for your membership, come say hi on Instagram. Let me know that you joined so that I can personally welcome you. And if you're listening to this and we are not open, make sure that you get your name on the wait list so you don't miss out for next time. All right, guys, I love you. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you, and I will see you next week. Bye.